you or for the people that you leave behind. So don't make things complicated. Make them simpler. Start reducing the things that you are well aware of that you're addicted to, and start entering into an agreement with yourself to do things that you know are good for your physical organism. And only after you have done this for a few months, then start to ask yourself, what is really going on with my system? Are there things that really are seriously out of balance that have not been improved by simply starting in the direction of doing the right thing and starting in the direction of not doing the wrong thing? Don't try to, because, I mean, you know, there are plenty of excellent things that you can, for example, suppose you have heart disease that is, I can't think of the word right now, but insufficient blood going into the heart. What is that word? Ischemic heart disease. Thank you. Ischemic heart disease. That means you need more blood. Simple way to deal with that, and at least to some degree, is to every morning have the juice of a medium onion with a tablespoon of pure honey. Yes, this is not going to be not quite the same level of satisfaction as starting off the day with a big plate of Srikhand or Basundi, but it will be good for your heart. But maybe the heart disease is coming from somewhere, from a cause that you can actually address, in which case you might be able to bring it under control by another method, instead of simply doing something to suppress this symptom. Yes, it's become a disease, but the disease is an indication. It's not just a disease, it's also a symptom. It's a disease and a symptom at the same time. It's a symptom of you taking in or performing causative factors that are creating it. And unless you use that as an opportunity to evaluate the causative factors that are causing you to have this problem, all you're going to do is, yes, you've applied a Band-Aid here, but now that imbalance is very likely going to find another way to express itself, because the imbalance has not gone away. You may have supported your heart, you may have supported that tissue, that organ, but some other organ then will become the weak link in the chain of organs and the chain of tissues in your organism, and some sort of pathology will develop in that other area, wherever the next weakest thing is. So rather than simply look around for things that you can do or things that you can take for whatever symptom you have right now, it's much better if you take that symptom and try to find out where that problem came from and try to address at least one of the causes of that problem, and then see how that changes you as an individual. Not just how it addresses that symptom or that roga, that disease, but how it changes you as a personality. How it makes you feel that now you have that you are actively doing something positive for you, that there is a certain greater degree of influence that you have over your existence. One of the pernicious qualities of the modern world is that, I mean, it's bad enough that we have everybody trying to extract all of our personal data all the time. And they're all doing it with a variety of different techniques. In the United States, we speak of the most important actors in this way are the Frightful Five. The Frightful Five being, of course, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Google, otherwise known as Alphabet. Stupid name, Alphabet. Why not call it something even more stupid, like grape scissors. At least that would be, you would remember it. It's like alphabet. Anyway, these are the five, these are for the immediate future, these 5 gigantoids are going to be running the awareness of the majority of the world. More than 20% of the population of the world is on Facebook. More than 1.4 billion people. Just think about that. In the past, you couldn't even get a small fraction of that number of people together in the same time and space. And now, the possibility is there for 20% of the population of the world to be interacting somehow with one another. So, all of these, not just the Frightful Five, but everybody else who's imitating them and working along with them and so on, they all want you to feel like you have a very limited amount of ability to direct your own reality. They want you to feel like you should go and you should become an Apple person, and your Apple ID should be, you should change your name to your Apple ID, not vice versa or whatever, and you should just let Apple manage everything. It's a big brother situation. It's not 1984 anymore. It's even worse. We're in 2016. So rather than do that, take, even if they're small steps, so that you are starting to be your own person. A fine sadhu, one who did not use a cell phone, passed on a few months ago. His name was Swami Gyanananda Giri. He was originally from Switzerland. He moved to India when he was in his early 20s, lived here for 60 years or maybe a little bit more, never left again. And he used to say, everyone is born original, but most people die copies. Everybody is born original, but most people die copies, because most people, they get into some kind of not satsanga, but some sort of kusanga. They simply start imitating what's happening around them. They get into ruts, and they lose their vitality, because wherever your attention goes, your prana goes. And the more different directions your prana is going in, the more diffuse your prana becomes. The more diffuse your prana becomes, the more your vata increases. Because really, the only difference between prana and vata is that prana is focused. Prana is able to circulate to all parts of the body homogeneously. Prana moves slowly. Prana moves regularly. And prana moves very deeply in the organism. Vata is very superficial. Vata gets concentrated in certain areas and deficient in other areas. And vata is the kind of start and stop, become disturbed, become excited, become something else in all different directions, all the time, all day long. So you have a choice all day, every day, as to whether you want to permit yourself to have your energy dragged out of you by all of these things that are trying to attract your attention, or whether you want to make sure that you're holding on to the majority of your attention and the majority of your energy, and you are willfully permitting your attention to go in a direction that, if it's not always the best thing for you, at least is not the worst thing for you either, and you're limiting the amount of attention, and therefore prana, that you allow to exit from your organism at any one moment. And on that note, I note that, time is not only marching along, it has marched well along. I was told that it would be prudent for me to permit questions from the floor, and now is a good time for that to occur. Om Namah Shivaya. And if there are no questions, I'll continue to rant.
So we have a mic here, if anybody wants to ask a question.
There was Swami Gyananand was very fond of singing. He used to say that you have to pay with your Shakti for every word you say, but singing is free because it's a different way, it's a different mode of using your organism. And thank you. He was very fond of one song that goes this way. Jaya Hanumana Ati Balavana Ramanam Rasiyare Prabhu Manabasiyare. We'll come back to that in a moment. First question.
Yeah. It's out of curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity.
Just going back to the point where you kind of built up prayatna and kripa, the two points that you started with. My question to you is regarding this this specific branch of Ayurveda which tries to connect astrology as well. And probably that's where we see the focus is more on kripa rather than yatna or prayatna. So if you could tell something more about that.
One thing that I have noticed, I mean, there are many things I've noticed, but one thing I've noticed is that there's a big difference, and you understand I'm generalizing here, but there's a big difference between the way that people, and I'm generalizing here to India, the way that people in India think about fate, and the way that people in America think about fate. In America, especially in the so-called New Age, everybody believes, well, not everybody, many people believe that as soon as you as soon as you decide to do something different, as soon as you decide to change your fate, automatically your fate should change. And many people over here believe that your fate is written on your forehead and you will never be able to escape from it, and whatever is written is going to be there, and therefore there's no hope whatsoever, and you may as well forget it. There's been a debate about this in India for many centuries. In fact, it's written in the Charaka Samhita that, and we're talking about a book that was originally written somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 years ago. The version we have now dates from about 400 AD. It said that there were certain people back at that time, certain so-called authorities, who said that if you have a disease, it is because of your bad karma, and you should endure that bad karma and not try to treat the disease, because that way you're working through your bad karma, and then in your next janma, maybe things will be better. And then the author of the Charaka Samhita said, it is true that this is one approach, but the reality is that it may be in your fate, according to your karma, that you have a disease. But what if it is in your fate, according to your karma, that you meet a doctor? Should you say, no, I'm going to hold on to the karmas that have caused me to have the disease and ignore the doctor, even though it was also in your karma to meet the doctor? Or are you going to say, now, even though I have the disease, I have met the doctor, I'm going to try what the doctor suggests, perhaps it will give me some relief. So the variety of Jyotisha that I follow suggests that there are actually 3 different degrees of karma. Drida karma, adrida karma, and drida karma. So drida karma, and you can identify this in a Janma Kundali, in a horoscope. Drida karma is in fact karma that is fated, and it's not likely you're going to change it in this lifetime. Adrida karma is karma that is not fixed. Drida means stuck. Drida means solid. It is not fixed or solid. It is that's an area of life in which you will be able to change, kind of like the New Age people suggest, with possibly not much more than your determination to change. And there is a category in between called drida karma, which means it's fixed, but it's not completely fixed yet. You painted the wall, but the paint is not completely dry. Your wife came in and said, "Oh my God, that's the most horrible looking color I've ever seen. If you don't change the color right now, I'm divorcing you." And then you think, okay. And then you rush out to the paint store and you get some more paint and you apply it, and the wall is now a different color, the marriage is saved, everything is okay. But in order to do that, you had to go to the paint store, you had to spend some more money, you had to come back, you had to do some more mehnat. More yatna and prayatna was necessary, but you got the result. So there are said to be, according to the type of Jyotish that I follow, 3 possible qualities of adrishta or a vidata or whatever, or nasib or kismat or whatever you want to call it. Some that is fated, some that is not fated, and some that is going to be fated unless you do something serious about it right now. So, in the context, this applies also to the context of your health. There may be certain conditions that according to your previous karmas, you are not going to be able to completely eliminate. In which case, you may have to manage them for however long you can manage them. But that does mean that very possibly you can manage them. There may be other conditions that have simply come because you were doing things that you shouldn't do and not doing things you should do. And when you change those things, they may disappear automatically. And there may be others that you can get rid of, but you're going to have to do some work on. In Ayurveda, we talk about these as prognoses, whether a disease is sadhya or not. And there is sukha sadhya, easily treatable and curable. Krutra sadhya means, just like the word sounds, krutra. You have to, it's harder, you have to work harder, but you can cure it. Yapya, which means you can't cure it, but you can manage it. And asadhya, which means it's incurable. So in Ayurveda, we have 4, instead of 3, we have 4 different qualities of stuckness of the disease. And that means that efforts can be made for the first 3, and for the last one, if it's incurable and not even treatable, then that just means that you have to acknowledge that, live with that reality, and find out the best way to live for however long it is that you have remaining. So there's always something that can be done, even if it is composing yourself and being prepared to die. That's also something that needs to be done. And unfortunately, that many people don't do when it becomes obvious that that's what they need to do. Next.
I just want to understand easily the mapping between the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas and the Vata, Pitta, Shleshma connections.
Well, it's a nice question, and if it was easy